Tab 2 is action item on the President's evaluation. This has been circulated to all of you. I would accept a motion to accept this as the evaluation form for the President. Is there a motion?
Is this the first reading?
This is the first time it's been brought up, yes.
Okay, normally we'd have a first, excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Trustee Banducci.
This is the first reading, correct?
This is the first time it's been brought up.
Okay, which by definition I would take as the first reading. Is it not our normal practice and procedure that we have a first and a second reading? We have a discussion and talk about it at the first reading, and we have the ability to give input on that if we want to make any changes or suggestions. Gives us some time to mull it over and chew on it a little bit, and then we come back at the second reading. If it's acceptable at that point as is, we vote on it, or if we've incorporated any changes or suggestions. So being a first reading, I think we should have it to review, have discussion if anybody has any comments or questions, unless you guys, again, have already done all that in advance. It's a fresh thing. Does nobody else have anything to say? And it's just, there we are. Okay. I'd like some more time to look at it myself, so I'd like us to follow our normal process and procedure and have a second reading.
President Swayne.
This is the same evaluation that's been used for several years. When I showed it to Shannon, she said this is the same evaluation that they've been using for several years here. So this is not new. The only difference is that she didn't realize that this was a copyright of ACCT. And so to do it properly, the only change from what has happened previously was to actually properly use the copyright material. So it's something that you've been, if you've done evaluations on the President before, it's something you should be quite familiar with.
Yeah, we've been doing it for 10 years. We've had several different.
Chair Wold.
Oh, good. Then you're
Chair.
familiar with it. We can go ahead
Chair
and
Wold,
accept a motion to
I would like to
accept
say
this.
something.
Trustee McKenzie?
Thank you. Well, I actually didn't really enjoy the only presidential review I did, and I did notice that it was very similar format. And what I would like to just say is I think that this would be a decision for like the board who would actually be doing the review. And respectfully, I mean, if you gentlemen plan to get a review in before the next November 16th, then go ahead. But if it's not, well, I think there's a possibility Trustee Burchett may be here, but I'm saying that I don't think you two should be making this decision respectfully.
President Swayne.
So I acknowledge your perspective. I'd say I've been here for a quarter already, and there has not been a policy put in place for my evaluation. And I don't want to wait until the end of the evaluation to approve that. So I would like to get an evaluation from the board that I have worked with for the past quarter. That means we have to approve an evaluation process for the first year so that I can get a quarterly evaluation. And I would contend that best practice for presidents is to do a quarterly evaluation, not a summative at the end of the year. So that's actually one of the things that is part of this process. So there would be, at the end of this quarter, so potentially as early as tomorrow, there might be a process going out for evaluation, and then each quarter subsequently. So
it is your intention to do a review then? Yeah, I'm talking to the board members.
What is your question?
As in, it is your intention to get a review in before the election?
Yes.
That's what I've asked for.
Yes.
We've asked to, like.
I've asked the chair.
The President
part
has
of this
asked, and that's why it's on the agenda.
Okay, well, it just seems like there's a lot of communication outside of board meetings that's not going to other trustees. So, okay, thanks a lot. That's good to know.
I mean, that's part of the process is I meet with the chair prior to every meeting, go over the agenda. This is one of the items I propose that we address as a quarterly evaluation.
And that's also why we have a second reading. So when the rest of the board, we don't have a dictatorial chair, sir. I mean, that's what we just had to listen to a fellow resigned trustee scream about for a year and a half. And we're all 5 board members, and if we want to have inputs to it, this boom, present it, done, vote, over again, whether it be real estate, your presidential report, or, I mean, so many things.
I'm going to ask
That's not how-
legal counsel, are we required to have first and second readings on something that has already been accepted and used and is just being redone for the new president?
Mr. Chairman, first and second readings are not required for many of the items that come up. It has been practiced to have a first and second item. There are multiple times when the second reading has been waived, and we've gone right and dealt with the matter on a first reading. So it's no, answer your question, it's not required. It has been used in the past, depending on the situation.
Thank you. Trustee Banducci.
Well, first I want to address what Mark just said. Yeah, that was true until former trustee Howard kind of went, and so for the last while, we never had just a single reading. Everything was read twice at his insistence. So kind of interesting how that kind of changes back and forth and you get the interpretations. The normal process
Depends on who it favors.
is first and second. The other part of this is interesting. We have our normal convention of, in the spring, doing the review for the president. And so now we're going to change the process and procedure, and we're kind of doing it unilaterally here. To what end, I'm not sure I fully understand. To try to squeeze something in when this is our last board meeting, and you're looking for a review from us, when 2/5 of the board at least is going to be gone before the results of that. Very interesting. I'm not sure I understand the purpose of trying to rush us in and do this exactly. Or the necessity of it. And I don't know what typical best practices are for colleges, but I've been on the board for 10 years, and normally we've done one annual review. So
Maybe it's time for a change.
Well, I'd say
And,
it takes someone of
excuse me,
character.
I'm still chairman yet. Maybe it's time for us to listen to the president and see what he would like in terms of evaluation to help him be a better president for this university. So
May I say something?
I think if he would like to have a 3-month evaluation by trustees who have been working with him for 3 months, I think that's a wonderful thing for him to do. If you want to wait a month and have any new trustees on who know him not at all do the evaluation, I don't think that's a valid evaluation. So I don't usually speak to these motions because I'm the chair, but I think that this needed to be said.
you missed the point. It's not that I think you should delay it a month for the new trustees. I think the whole process is premature. And I'm trying to understand why we're suddenly going to change our normal practices here and what the rationale behind that is. It just seems very convenient that we're doing this at this time.
Chairman Wold, if I may?
Trustee McKenzie, yes.
Yeah, I would say that you're asking the wrong question, sir. You're asking what's legal, and let me just exercise 100% of my legal rights versus what's the best for this college and what's the best that, even though I may have the votes in hand, sir, or you know, like what you have to think. This process that we're agreeing to right now with the president is setting it for a whole year, and the board that may get elected in November, I mean, they may disagree. They want to do things different. If I knew that we were just gonna, this was immediately just a first reading like this, I would have loved to have more input on this instead of it just dropped on us like so. Because the last review, it was not good. Like there had to be a better way of doing it.
Thank you for your comments. I think it's good that we can have a discussion like this, but we still have a motion on the floor. And the question we call for all those.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I have another question of President Swayne. Who participates in your evaluation?
The board.
Not faculty or staff?
No, just the board.
Thank you.
Is there a motion on the floor? I think we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. 3 ayes, 2 abstain.
Nay.
One nay.
1 nay, 1
Two.
abstain.
I'll nay.